All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wolves Den. I am DJ Lonewolf, and it is my honor to present to you Lone Wolf James. Brother, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you very much. I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
Hey, buddy, I am just living the dream, and as I told you before, I'm trying to find the person's dream I'm living because they are a sick, sadistic bunch. I'm telling you.
Mm, I hear you.
Yeah. So you and I were talking during the break, man, and to the chagrin of a few of my friends, it turns out you are an avid Chicago Bear fan.
I
What
am.
are the odds?
Yep, I am. I actually live in New England, so I get a lot of heat for that. But I am. I'm an average Bears. I've been a Bears fan for hell, since probably like late '83, early '84,
Yeah, and you'll see
year or two before they
DJ
won the Ball.
DJ Hellbelly down there is going to throw a fit because he's a Packer backer.
Oh God, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
you got
Well,
one in every bunch. One in every
yeah.
bunch. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, brother. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry? Because I know, we mentioned earlier that you had mentioned in the shout box that Motley Crue was a big influence on you, and they're my favorite band of ever. And how did they pull you in?
Well, it was weird because I was, when you're around like 14, 13, whatever, when you get into your early teens, you don't really know what you're gonna do and whatever. And at that time, everything that was out was like Prince and Bryan Adams and Bruce Springsteen and whatever. And so that was the stuff that was on the radio. And I remember I went to a party, and one of my friends had got Bitter Pain, and I heard the song Louder Than Hell from Motley Crue, and I was blown away. I was like, who the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then he showed me just the sound of the drums and the guitars and everything, and I got so involved in them that I was starting to really get into music and things like that, and I actually started out as a drummer. So I got a drum set for Christmas, and when I heard that Theater of Pain album, I started playing all those songs and whatever, and learning the drums, and I had Motley Crue tattooed. They were everywhere, all over my walls, man. That was the only band I had up. There was there wasn't a space on my wall that didn't have them on it. And as the years went on, I figured out. Obviously, I heard that Nikki Sixx was the writer and whatever, and I became a huge fan of his. And to this day, he's still like one of my top idols.
Yeah. So I take it you followed over to 6 a.m. with the stuff that he does with his independent band from Motley.
Yeah, I like some of that. I mean, I think he's got a good little repertoire going with them. But I'll never be, anything. I mean, I'll never turn my back on the Motley stuff. I mean, I actually got tickets to their closing tour here when they're calling it quits.
Oh
I
man.
got tickets to their last show that they're going to do because I wasn't going to miss that.
Oh yeah, no question, no question. And I got to ask you, what were your thoughts when Vince was released or quit, depending on who you asked? Did you buy the album? Did you check it out?
Yeah, and I'll be completely blunt, honest. I always liked John Corabi anyway, and I thought the music they wrote with him was fantastic. I think that the album was killer, and I think that they should have named it something else. That should have been like 6 a.m. or something like that, because I think it was the fact that they kept the Motley name on it that kind of killed them. Because with that band, there's no real like one superstar. It's not like Van Halen with Eddie Van Halen. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
they had four entities in that band, and to call it the same name, it was with a completely different sound, completely different whatever. But I didn't. I figured it was it was going to come. It seemed like I was following. It seemed like there was a lot of heat and stuff, and I don't know. I mean, Vince didn't do really that great on his own either, so I had no doubt that they were going to get back together again. But I really did like the Motley album with Corabi. I just think that they should have called it something else, And
Yeah,
I think
that
would've
you're
done
right with
better.
that because that band is that's the thing about Motley Crue. They are synonymous with each other, and they're not like insert player here. And Kiss, who's a huge band, huge talent, they're Gene and Paul. And
Yep.
the other, even though Ace and Peter Criss were the other two originals, they're kind of replaceable and interchangeable with other members. Looks like we got a surprise coming up for you in the shout box here in a second. By the way, just wanted to let you know I've been warned and told, so kind of keep an eye on that. Coming your way, coming your way.
All
But
right.
no, I'm with you, man. I really like the stuff that they did. I thought "Misunderstood" was a well-written song. I really like Hooligan's Holiday.
A part of the music was great, and
power, yeah.
Welcome to the Thumb and all that. I mean, yeah, they had some great. Drift Away was a good tune, and I mean, like I said, I liked Karabi back with the Scream, and I actually saw him after Motley when he was in Union with Bruce Kulick from Kiss.
Absolutely.
You know, they had put together a band called Union, and I went down and saw them live, and I met Bruce and John and them. So I mean, I like Karabi's style because I'm also a guitar player singer, and we can get into that later. But like when I first started off my career, I was the platinum blonde, and I was a platinum blonde kid,
Yeah,
and as I got into my teens and everything else, my facial hair started becoming darker because I'm part Native American, So I'd have this like bleach blonde hair and this dark beard, and it just didn't work. I started to feel like Dog the Bounty Hunter or something. So
yeah, or Hulk Hogan when he was doing that whole
yeah.
gig, yeah, when he, yeah.
So,
So,
I get the look of Karabi and the guitar playing and stuff, and that's what I am like now. I got out of that whole, blonde Vince Neil, David Lee. I love those guys, but that's not what I'm about.
That was the cloned look back in the '80s, though. I mean,
It
that
was,
was
yeah.
every lead singer had the long blonde hair.
And it really wasn't me. I was always more of a musician and a songwriter and a singer. It wasn't just a front man. So it kind of pissed me off in a lot of ways that I was always thrown in that box, of just being a Vince Neil or something, or a Bret Michaels, and it's like I respect the hell out of those guys. I love them, but they're not, I was always more of a John Karabi or something like that, So that's why now that I said screw it, I went dark with my hair normal, and whatever. Years later when I came out and I started playing my Les Paul and my Marshall, and people were like, whoa, what happened to this guy? But it was the real me, and it just kind of took off from there.
All right, we've got some questions that are starting to pop up. First of all, we got a great-looking graphic out there. I'm going to point out to you in the shout box if you can see it.
Oh yeah, that looks great. From Warlock.
Yeah. That's it, man. Warlock hooks us all up here on the station. He's the one that did our new Wolf order for the Wolves Den show. Kind of a play off of wrestling. I know you know who the NWO is. Well,
yeah.
Well, we've got our own little graphic here, and I know you probably saw it already, and then we'll get a couple more questions. But he's a very, very talented gentleman that definitely keeps his DJs well taken care of. So you can see part of the new Wolf order.
Oh yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of clever. Kind of clever.
Yeah, that is very clever. That's very cool. Yeah, I like the graphic he did with my album cover.
Awesome.
The last album, that was cool. That was from the Voodoo Moon album cover.
All right, here's what I'd like to do then. Let's get to a couple of these questions that we've got popping up down here because this is what I love about doing interviews.
Sure.
DJ Brain asked, where do you record at?
I've actually been to about 3 different studios over the last 10 years or so. I'm pretty faithful to the studios that I go to. The first one was in Acme Recording. It doesn't exist anymore. It was in like the Chelmsford, Lowell area of Massachusetts, and then there was another one that I went to in New Hampshire. And the latest one is actually in New Hampshire too, and it's like Drumlone Studio, and a friend of mine's band recorded there. And I heard when they had their CD release party, I was listening to their album, and I love the sound of it. I love the production, and I love what the engineer did. So I went in there and I told him, who I was and who I knew, who had recorded there already, and he was just like, well, come on in. And the first thing I liked is, like, as much as the other 2 studios were great, they were, one was almost like a jazz blues musician, and another one was just kind of into some real like eclectic rock and whatever. And when I went to this one, this guy was a rock producer. He had Zeppelin on his wall. He had a picture of Jim Morrison. He had Black Sabbath and Kiss posters on. So I was like, this is the guy for me. And that's where we're recording the new album right now, and it'll be out in about a month.
All right. Well, you just answered another question. Good timing on that one. C to G for Life asked when it was coming out. Also, C to G wanted to know if you still had any of the blonde hair pics, because I'd be kind of interested to see those myself. I'm just saying.
I actually do. Hell, I could probably put one up on my Facebook page. It's a small one. I think it's like a thumbnail or something. But I don't have too many. It was actually taken in Salem, Mass, I think. I was down there doing a a thing on pagans and witches. They were doing like a photo shoot,
Yeah.
and they wanted me to do a photo shoot. They gave me this T-shirt, and it had the I think it was like the pentagram or something on it. I'll have to find it, and while I'm talking to you,
Absolutely.
maybe I can find it here. And
Now,
if I
do
can,
you mind if I give your Facebook page out
No, go
to our
ahead.
listeners? So we'll post it out here in the shout box. It'll also be on my Facebook page, and I'll try to get it on the studio page as well, to make sure that you guys can follow this gentleman and his career, because he's got some really solid music. I'm loving what I've heard so far. Um, but you said you started out in percussion and moved your way forward to vocals. You know, during that time, you must have been in a band. I love asking this question. What was the name of your first band?
The very first real band that I was in, with like all four people could play,
Yeah.
and we were just acting like a band. It was called Scimitar, and it was like I was drumming, and I had a couple of kids from my school, and that was actually the band that was the catalyst to me singing, because I I had been we just started the band and we were practicing. We only knew 3 songs. And my first gig ever was I guess you'd want to call it like a frat party or something. It was some party at somebody's house, and they were doing, we only knew 3 tunes, and it was like a hard rock version of Sympathy for the Devil and All Right Now, and then like one original song. And right after the show, we were in practice or something, and the singer didn't show up. And so the band goes, well, you know the tunes, so they put a microphone in front of me, and while I was drumming, and I started singing the songs, and they kind of looked at each other, and then they were like, well, you don't want to show up, screw him, and they fired him and put me up front, and we got another drummer, and that's how it started. So I wasn't a drummer for very long. I mean, I was good at like AC/DC style drumming. I wasn't. When you get the guys like Alex Van Halen and Tommy Lee and stuff like that, I couldn't touch that double bass stuff, so I wouldn't have been a drummer for too long anyway, But,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So it was
I,
a natural talent for you to be behind the mic then.
Yeah, I didn't even, I thought about it for like a half a second and then went, oh, well, yeah, all right, give me a shot. I know the words, I didn't know how good it was going to come out, but I knew the words, and that was it. And I did that, and then, like I said, after that, it was just, the rest was, as they say, history. I moved up front, and I actually didn't even start. I was just a singer, from that time until probably 6 years later, when I started to learn how to play guitar, and I started off on an acoustic. I started writing my own songs.
Fantastic.
So,
And now, do you do most of the songs that you perform? Are they written yourself, or do you have a brain trust you work with, a conglomeration of people?
Lately, I've been kind of co-writing with the guys in my band, because I went through a lot of players in the Lonewolf James band over the last few years and stuff. I used a lot of studio musicians and stuff on the albums, but over the last 4 years, I've had the same lineup, and great bunch of guys. And so what I do is I'll come up with a riff and a melody line or some lyrics or something like that, and then I'll go to what we call the Wolf's Den is our practice run too. So we're really inclined to each other here, but
There you go, man.
but yeah, I bring it to them, and then everybody just kind of I just kind of throw it in like a stew, and everybody does their thing, and I trust them enough to bring out the best in what I bring to the table, and and we discuss what we like and what we don't like, and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm the main songwriter, but even my bass player Chris, over the last couple of years, he's brought a couple of songs to the table, and one of them's going to be actually on the new album that's coming out. So,
Fantastic.
I don't mind when somebody else writes something, because it saves me from having to fill that spot on the album sometimes,
Oh yeah, it has to help to have somebody that's got the same creative flow that you do, the same type of vibe that you feel when you're writing. It has to be. Well, listen, we've got about 4 or 5 songs of yours that you sent us and let us play for you. Is there one in particular that you'd like to get out there and have heard right now? Because we came in with Just a Bone. That's how you open your show. What would you like to throw down for these people to listen to, check out?
Let's see, think about what I sent you. I think I sent you More Than You Know, right?
I've got Monster Creep, Sucks to Be You, Trouble, and Just a Bone. right
Okay.
here with me.
All right. Well, Monsters are an interesting one. You could play that one. That one's really good. I actually bought a pedal. You'll hear on the song when you play it that it does a. I actually did a voice in the studio that they kind of tweaked and made it into a monster voice. So when you hear the monster voice on the song, it's actually me. And then I went out and I bought a pedal that actually lets me do that live.
All right, man. Sounds good. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a fast break. I'm going to pop this on real quick for you.
Okay.
And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. So, you know what? Everybody just kick back, relax, and take it easy. We're going to have some fun, some more questions, find out a little more about what makes Lonewolf James. And I think that's kind of why the vast majority of us are here.
I posted that blonde picture for you, too. So.
Oh, fantastic. Well, while you're listening to us, go check out the blonde photo. That's going to be amazing. I might actually have to grab that one for my little souvenir book, as it were. But you are listening to ink-radio.com, and this is The Wolves Den with DJ Lonewolf and our special guest, Lonewolf James. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. And welcome back to the Wolves Den. I am DJ Lonewolf with you here on ink-radio.com with our special guest of the night, Lonewolf James. Buddy, thanks again for hanging out. And yeah, I like that song. It's pretty sweet, I got to admit. And I think it's going to be a regular in the rotation for me from here on out. I like it.
No, thanks, man. Yeah, it was fun. It was kind of a hard song to record, but it was a lot of fun when I did that track in the studio. I was like, I really want to put a monster's voice on there, and I kind of got the idea from Extreme, another Boston band. They did a song called He-Man Woman Hater, and they used this really like deep monstrous voice on one of their and on that song, and I wanted to use that same effect. And the guy, he was able to hook me up with it, so that was very cool.
Yeah, fantastic. And this is a little sample, by the way. I'm kind of throwing a plug in here. We have a new radio network that's starting up, so this is kind of a sample of what you can look forward to coming to our-truth.com very soon, because we're going to have a lot of shows like this. Thought this would be a good time to mention that to the people that are out there, because we're going to have shows about music, the paranormal, paraphysical, metaphysical, you name it, it's going to be out there. We're going to have something doing with everything. It's going to be a great run. But we were talking, while this was going, a little bit about your band. How did you meet the current group that you have? Because you said you finally got that stable core of people. So how did that come about?
And I'd be lying to say it was easy, but you just go through trials and tribulations. But the guys that I came across now, that my drummer Denny has actually been with me now. I think he's going on like 9 years. So
wow.
It's been a while with him, and and basically the guy I had before him, Kevin, we were really still good friends, but he left the band to go get married and have kids, and when he didn't really want to tour and stuff and do that anymore. And Denny was a mutual friend of another person that we knew, and he's like, he's not in the band right now, he's kind of in between, and he'd like to come down and audition or whatever. And I said, yeah, send him down. And he nailed it. I mean, he nailed it the first time he came down, and he's like one of my best friends, And then a few years later, we're going through different lineups and whatever, and trying to decide on a direction. And believe it or not, thanks to Denny, I got to give him all the props, because there was a time where I was kind of fed up, and I was going to say the hell with it, and he kind of reeled me back in and said, well, because I didn't really like the direction that other members and stuff wanted the band to go in or whatever. And he said, well, why don't you just get two guys that we like, that we want to play with, that that want to do your music your way, and we'll go from there. So I did that, and I got Ron, the guitar player, about 4 years ago, and I knew what I wanted. I wanted a Slash, Jimmy Page, Joe Perry type guy, and we auditioned a few people, and nothing really blew my hair back. And then he had answered an ad, and I had heard him. He had sent me a link to a song. He played an Aerosmith song or something, and so he came around the corner to the practice room, and I see this kid with ripped jeans, a Led Zeppelin T-shirt, carrying a Les Paul with long black hair, and I didn't even hear him playing. I went, "That's the guy. That's the guy I want."
Just knew it.
And,
just the
and
feel
he
was
came
there.
down. Yeah, I mean, he just had that. He had that look. Like he looks like he should be in the Ramones. I mean, it's just like that, And but great guitar player, and we blend together as we're both Les Paul fans, and so we both play Les Pauls, and he's great guitar player. And then Chris was like the icing on the cake, man. He was we're trying to find a bass player, because somebody solid, and we didn't want a guitarist who was playing bass or somebody who was just kind of dabbling. And Chris is actually a West Coaster. He moved out from Oregon to here to Massachusetts area, and he came down and auditioned. And yeah, it was funny because he actually only lived like 15 minutes from the studio where he moved to, and he came down and nailed it. And he's a great person, great personality, great songwriter. He's got a good backup singer. That the whole thing. So they're just a solid core of guys. I'm real happy with them, and we've been playing now, the four of us, for almost 4 years, and we've opened for some big-time nationals, and played some, shitty dives and some really big shows, some big festivals. So we're, just looking forward to the future.
I got to ask you one question I want to ask too, and I come up with some strange stuff, and I got to tell you, we start at a point, we get to a point, but you're going to take the scenic route getting there, okay? I can promise you this much. Who is the one artist that you met where you just went, oh my God, I just met?
I'd have to say John Fogerty, to be honest with you.
All right.
He was, my dad, rest in peace, he was a huge Creedence fan, and so was my mom. And my mom we had seen him a few times, and I was, I knew all of his stuff, and I loved the way he played and whatever. And I finally got front row seats and a meet and greet to meet him. And believe it or not, it's kind of a double whammy because when I walked in the room to meet John Fogerty, Steven Tyler was sitting there.
Oh wow.
He was just hanging out. So I was like, wow, you know. And but I got to meet John, and he was just a really, really nice guy, and really down to earth, and you know, soft spoken, and you know, and he had when I was in front row, he had like I was surrounded by a bunch of people like, you know, 30 years old or 40 years older than me. So you know, he saw me like singing the songs, and he was, you know, he got a kick out of it. And he handed me a pick, and he kind of talked to me while he was on stage. So I was talking to him about it backstage when I met him. And but yeah, I'd have to say, out of everybody I've met that's famous, he was the coolest guy. And I walked out of the room and I was like, wow, I just met John Fogerty from Creedence. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it would have to be, man. Anytime you meet somebody that's a legend of your father's is a moment, is a defining moment.
Yeah, he was great. I actually have front row tickets to see him coming up next month.
Oh wow.
Back to the area, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back and see him again. Hopefully, I can go backstage and hang with him again. You know.
Yeah, and you've got some stuff coming up. I know you said you have a CD coming out. I know we had talked. There's a documentary coming out that's going to feature your music as well.
Yep.
Tell us what you know about it, and then I'll tell you what I know about it, and we'll go from there on it.
To be honest with you, I know I'm kind of in the dark right now, but I know it's called Ghost of Fire 2. My friend Robin Marie is in it, and I believe somebody else we know is in it. And it was just she has been using like my songs here and there for different web pages and things like that. You know, we became good friends a couple of years ago, and she's a sweet person. And we she uses she's got my song Mr. Creep on one of her pages now. I think she's doing a show or something that she's got, and the page that she has promoting it, if you go to that page, I'm not sure what the address is, I'd have to look it up, but it plays my song. And I know the Ghost of Fire 2 movie that's coming out, she wanted to use a couple of the songs that are coming out on the new album. So I'm going to be hooking up with her and giving her those, and it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be cool to have it on that movie. So
yeah, I'm actually dropping off some footage for that to her when I see her this weekend at that conference. Believe it or not, I'm one of the speakers there, and the person he was referring to is me. I didn't even know his music was going to be used on it. He didn't know I was in it, so it's another little clever coincidence of us knowing each other. I guess that's that 6 degrees of separation you hear about.
Yep.
But yeah, Robin is an absolute gem. She's a pearl to have around, and she is a great friend. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, she will do anything she can to help somebody in their life and in their career. That's for sure. But yeah, so you know, what else do you have coming up? I know we've got the album release. You got some tour dates coming up, places you're going to be.
Yeah, we actually I'm going to be doing I have my own festival which is coming up. It's kind of like my version of Ozfest, and that's called Local Fest. That's coming up in July, the end of July. It was basically happened because I had called the promoter and told him I wanted to put together a festival, and he gave me this attitude of, well, these bands that you want to use are all, you know, local and regional bands. You guys can't do your own festival. And as soon as he told me that, I was like, you know, well, that means I'm doing it. And I did it last year, and it was great. You know, we did it at the beach, and you know, it was great. And so this year it's Local Fest 2, and I got that coming up, and I got some great bands, you know, playing with me on there, a bunch of my friends and local bands that we tour around the area with, you know, and that's going to be sick, you know. And then I got the big one news I got was that in the end of August I'm actually doing a showcase for labels in New York City down in Staten Island, and we're hoping to get signed to a major label and go on tour permanently here and do this for, you know, for good, I hope, you know. So we're keeping our thumbs up and hoping on that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, you stay true to what you're doing. I don't think that's going to be an issue because we talked before. The thing I love about your music, it's crisp, it's clean, it's not overly synthesized, it doesn't have that cookie cutter feel to it. It's an actual expression of music, which is something that we don't see. And you know, we were talking in the shout box earlier. You've got songs nowadays that are hits that have 9 words in the entire song, and it took 20 writers, 33 producers, and God knows how many electronics to make the sound.
Yep.
But you've got musicians out there like you that have this, that actually appreciate the music, actually push the music, and that's something that me as a person, I appreciate. I really, really enjoy it. So
Well, I appreciate that, man. I mean, yeah, I can't get into. I mean, you don't want to get me on a rant about today's stuff because it kind of gets me. But I mean, you look at the Grammys and the stuff like that now, and it's just you got one rock band and 15 Justin Biebers, and I can't take that, And it's like I just can't, To me, it's like what the hell happened to the rock bands, And I don't write about anything fake or make believe or anything. Like every one of my songs are either something I've gone through, I've seen. It's a sexual overtone. It's some of a hypocrisy. It's somebody like trying to stick their religion in your face. It's always something. An ex-girlfriend, whatever you got. And so all my songs, people can relate to them because they're real, because they happen from real things. And that's what I stand by. I won't just write, I want to be in some magical place with magical things doing that. That's just not me.
yeah.
So, and so that's I think if you're real, people can feel it, and if they can feel it, then it's real to them too. And they get where you're coming from. It's almost like you're singing your song about them in some weird way, I guess.
Well, music has a way of touching people. We all know this. Everybody has that song that brings back a memory. And
Yep.
usually that song is one that's written from the heart. It's written, like you mentioned, from personal experience. It's not a group of people sitting around looking at demographics to see what's going to sell the most albums. It's something that has expression. And that's what I'm hearing with you. So that's something I really like. And I'm not anybody that knows me will tell you I'm not an ass kisser when I'm out doing interviews. I've actually backed a priest into the corner with some tough questions.
Yeah.
So if I'm telling you I like something, I do. If I didn't like your music, I probably wouldn't have you on here. But
Well, I'll tell you something truthfully, and this is true because when you said, all the writers sitting in a room and they all try to get together, I had something, and it'll be really quick, but there was a story I got for you, and you'll love this. All right, they had me fly down to Florida, and I went and I did. It was almost like I'd say along the lines of an American Idol, but it wasn't televised, right? And I
Gotcha.
walk in, and they give me this number, and I put it on my chest. And I walk into a room with 15 labels, all sitting at chairs, staring at you. And there's an X on the floor. And they tell you to go stand on the X, tell them who you are, where you're from, and what you're playing. Like what song you're playing. And you only could play a minute of whatever the song was, whether it was your song or a cover song. And I'm looking around while I'm in the lobby of this thing, waiting for my call to come up. I'm looking around, and there had to have been, no shit, like 1,500 Britney Spears lookalikes, and all these different guys that look like Justin Timberlake. And I was the only long-haired rocker in the entire building. And I was going, what the hell? So I go inside, and I do my thing, and they just stare at you. I played my song. And afterwards, I walk out, and who's standing next to me but Jordan Knight of the New Kids on the Block? And I was like, I just got schmoozed somehow, big time. Some reason they wanted, they wanted to have a rock and roll guy there so that they could show that they accepted rock and roll guys or something. But it was a complete waste of time.
Something kind of like the token. You were brought in as the courtesy
exactly.
to the industry.
Like, you can't say that we don't take everybody because look at this guy was here. But I mean, it was like there was probably 4 country guys, me, and 1,497 pop singers, wannabes, And I was like, this is a joke. And I told them afterwards, I was standing in the room with the same people, and they said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm leaving. I'm going home. And they're like, well, they might get insulted. I'm like, that's their problem. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. And I'm like, I'm nobody's puppet. I'm not going to, you're not going to change me into some puppet doll. And that was it. And, I mean, it was a good experience and all that, blah, blah, blah. But, that just goes to show exactly what you're talking about, the industry. They were just trying to find the next Backstreet Boys to mold,
Yeah, there's a song that I play by a group called Da Vinci's Notebook. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. They're an a cappella group that does basically comedy because we have a comedy song every hour, and I might play it here in a little bit just to let you hear it when we're done here. But it's the name of the song is Title of the Song, and one of them actually figured out the formula that's used to write every love song, power love song that's written by pop bands today. And they wrote it using the name of what each part was, like definition of the feelings of the entitlement, and then title of the song was sung out, and it's hilarious because it's true. It really is true. So I'll hit you guys with that when we get done with the interview. That'll be my first song after we go off the air. I'll let you hear it. It's amazingly funny and amazingly sad, all in the same stroke. So,
that sounds cool.
All right, but I tell you what, we're going to take a little bit of a break right now. Coming up, we've got Creep, Mr. Creep.
Yep.
So I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with Lonewolf James. Man, it's been a ton of fun so far. I'm enjoying this. I don't know about you, but this is what I live for, man.
I'm having a good time.
Fantastic. All right, kick back, relax, everybody. You are listening to ink-radio.com. I am DJ Lonewolf, and this is The Wolves Den.
To watch them cry, pissed off your neighbors with the gleam in your eye. Now you wanna know why your soul refuses to fly. Well, it just can't tell you goodbye. Just can't tell you goodbye. Just can't say goodbye till you die.
Welcome back to the Wolves Den. I am DJ Lonewolf, and welcome to ink-radio.com, where we are absolutely honored to have Lonewolf James hanging out with us in this massive studio of ours. It's a virtual studio. Deal with me, people. It's how I work, how I live. Wanted to give a quick shout out, by the way, and I was telling Lonewolf James while we were at our break, somebody was supposed to have been joining us tonight for this interview. That was DJ Stormy. She cannot be here tonight. She is unfortunately she's in the hospital right now, so we're sending our best wishes to you, Stormy. I hope you're able to listen. If not, I hope you listen to the recording of this that we're having made. We miss you. Get back soon. I'm going to have this guy back because of this. You realize that, right? Because I want you to meet this guy and hang out, because this is like really, really just a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll be
Absolutely.
back, and I hope she feels better soon.
Appreciate it. And, you know, we'd love to have you stop by any time and hang out in the shout room with us and listen to music, make requests. You can request your own music. That's great. Good stuff for me. Gives me a chance to play it.
I hear you.
All right. Well, you had mentioned that you'd opened up on a larger stage, for some larger acts. Who are some of the more notables that you feel comfortable throwing out there, my friend?
Well, I'd say the biggest was Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top. I opened for them up in Maine at a big outdoor festival, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, we did. It was an honor because I was always a huge Skinner fan anyway, and and ZZ Top, they're both legends. So as far as a legendary status, it was that they're probably some of the biggest. I played over at the beach with I don't know if you remember John Cafferty from the '80s.
Yeah,
He
man.
did, Eddie and the Cruisers movie soundtrack and all that. He
Yeah.
had they needed an opening act for him, and I had come in, and it was funny because I had met him just then. I walked in and we were doing sound check and whatever, and I had met him on stage, and I said to him, can I make a request? And he said, if you say on the dark side, I'm going to hit you. And I started laughing, right? And I'm like, no. And I said, and it was a song called Voice of America's Son that was on, I think it was the Cobra soundtrack with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
So I didn't think anything of it, and he was like, oh yeah, cool, that's a great song. And, so after we did our set, I had gone, me and the boys went back in our dressing room, and I changed into my street clothes. So I got out of my stage clothes, and I had gotten into my sweatpants and whatever, sweatshirt, and pulled my hair back, whatever. So I'm walking on the side of the stage, and they had started playing the song. Well, he looks over and sees me, and he comes over and he pulls me up on stage with him. So I have actually pictures of me on stage at the Blue Ocean Arena with John Cafferty. And I'm singing with him, and as we're walking up the stage, he goes, "You requested this song. I hope you know the words to it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And so we went out there and we sang the song together, and it was a lot of fun. And he was a great guy too. So that was a good time, And we played with Alter Bridge and Blackstone Cherry, Theory of a Dead Man. So it's been a lot of different genres of rock bands that we've done with stuff with, but I haven't really had any bad experiences, knock on wood, with anybody. I've met some nationals that I wasn't crazy about after I met them, but I had not. As far as playing with some, everyone that I've ever shared the stage with have been very cool.
Oh, that's fantastic, and that's a great experience for you too, because you get feedback from these guys. If they're quality people, I'm assuming that you have got some tips and tricks and picked up a few things along the way from them, so that has to be beneficial all around.
Yeah, it was very surreal playing with Cafferty because he was a legend. I mean, I played with a couple of others with like Eddie Money and Joey Belladonna from Anthrax. We did a thing with him, and so I mean, there's definitely a big variety of different stuff. But I really got to sit down and talk to and meet Cafferty and become friendly with him, and I didn't really get a chance to really meet and mingle with the guys from ZZ Top and Skinner because they had so much security at the thing. So even though we were support and we were playing an opening act for them, I got to see them. I got to be in front row and stuff because of our passes and whatever, but I couldn't really mingle with them back in the locker room. So that was the only thing I was kind of bummed out about, but it was an honor to open for them. They're huge.
No doubt. Now, outside of music, this is kind of where I like to go too. What do you do for fun to relax and unwind? I mean, me, I'm a computer tech. I'm a paranormal investigator. I do the radio thing to relax, and it's become a big part of my life. What is it that's behind you that gets you just that relaxation time that you escape reality with?
Well, when I get a break, I mean, I'm actually kind of just like a homebody, to be honest with you. I like to just kind of chill out on my deck and soak up the sun, and I go to the gym and whatever. But I'm a big, like, as far as stuff that outside of the music that I'm into, like as far as hobbies and things like that, I love watching. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I watch all the different federations and whatever, and as we said before, I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan, so I always I try to fly out to Chicago at least once a year to see a game, you know, and
Absolutely.
things like that. But you know, I'm actually feel simple. I mean, it's funny because in the business that I'm in, I don't, you know, and I'm proud to say this, so it doesn't bother. I don't drink, smoke, or do drugs, and so people are kind of like, wow, because I'm around it all the time, you know, with different when you're in different places and whatever. So when I relax, I'm just kind of I like to just have a day when I can get one to just kind of chill out, you know, and if I have to do something where I can go do something, then I like to go and go to a wrestling event live or go to Chicago to see the Bears play or something. So that's pretty much it. I'm pretty, you know, I like to go to the movies and things like that. It's pretty casual. You know, I like barbecues and whatever. I'd rather be in a barbecue, you know, outside of somebody's pool than go to some fancy French restaurant where I
Oh,
don't know
any day of
shit.
the week, man. Any day of the week. Oh, hell
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I always,
If,
but I'm
if
more
you ever,
bandanas. You know, I'm more bandanas than tuxedos. There's no doubt about that. You
I'm
know?
with you on that one. I'll tell you what, if you're ever in the West Virginia way, I don't know why you'd ever come down here, but if you ever do, I can tell you we'll have a barbecue set up waiting for
Yeah, man, that would be
you.
great. That would be a
Absolutely,
lot
man.
of fun.
We just chill. We throw in some good Chicago Bear tapes I've got. We can play some Madden for all I care, man. We'll just take Bears versus Bears and have a good time.
Yeah,
Eat some good barbecue. Eat some good food, man.
that
But
sounds like fun.
yeah, but yeah, man. You know, you gotta unwind, right? And what
You got
better
it.
way than just hanging out with your family and friends and people around you and taking time. Now, about how many days out of the year would you say you tour, man? About how many days a week are you performing?
Lately we're doing almost every weekend. We do pretty much. We'll kneel a Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday, and so like last weekend, we did back-to-back shows in South Boston, which I haven't hit in a while, and so we had one in Home, Mass, and then Quincy, Mass, and then just this weekend we did a festival in New Hampshire. So I mean, we pretty much play. I've played from Maine to Alabama, so I've pretty much gone down the East Coast. But I'd say we average out of a month, we probably do 3 weekends out of the 4. We're pretty busy, especially in the summertime. You know, we could play up to three times a week, 4 times a week, and I mean, considering we're not signed and everybody's still trying to do, you know, they got to do what the quote unquote day job thing, I guess you want to call it. But
Yeah.
we're all looking forward to doing that festival and playing. I mean, that one I was telling you about in Staten Island is going to be they're sponsored by Coca-Cola and Anheuser-Busch and Monster Power Drinks and stuff. So they got like 50 labels or something that are going to be there, and they're there for the reason of seeing unsigned bands. So a bunch of the bands I was telling you before that we played with around the area, around New England, we're all going down. There's a bunch of us playing different time slots and stuff, but we're all trying to go down for the same reason. We want to get signed and go to the next level, you know, and that's really what it's about.
Fantastic. Well, I tell you what, man, I got a good feeling about it for you. You've got a great sound, and it sounds like you just have the absolute perfect attitude for what you're doing. Just staying real and keeping what's important right there in focus. So kudos to you for that one, man. I got to give you credit.
Speaking of which, I got to do a shout out, okay, because I know she's listening.
Go
I got
for
to
it, man.
shout out to our merchandise person, Kim. We love you. She's been with us since 2006, and she drags her ass to all the shows, no matter where we play, and she sells our merchandise. And everybody wants to know where they can get our merchandise from. Well, you can go and you can see Kim, and she'll hook you up with T-shirts, CDs, whatever you need. So, love you, Kim, and hope you're listening, and hope everything's cool.
Well, I guess we know who C to G is for life is out there now.
Yeah, it probably stands for Cradle to Grave, which is the new single off the new album this summer. So, I'm sure
Fantastic.
that's what that means.
Well, you're definitely going to have to get us hooked up with that one when it comes out, because I'd love to have it.
Yeah, oh,
Love to play
definitely.
For real.
And that's the CD that's going to feature the same 4 guys that I've been playing with for the last 4 years. So that's why I'm excited about that one. You know, there's no studio musicians or anything. It's just going to be the 4 guys that you see live are going to be on the album. So when you come to the shows, it'll be just like the album except cranked.
Oh, fantastic. Now, we have another question in the shout box from DJ Rain. Wants to know how your family fits into the picture.
Carefully. It's my mom's a huge fan. She goes to a lot of shows, and and God love her. I mean, she's sat through some festivals where we've played with bands that I wouldn't even sit through, and and she's up there, and she, God love her, she goes and she does it, and like I told you before, my father had passed away, but before he did, he used to go, and everybody's very supportive as far as like I have a big family, but I'm really only close knit to a few of them, and and you got your clique of your friends type deal that you've been around for years, and who you trust and who you can't, and a lot of those people are the ones that either work for the band or travel with the band, and whatever, and it's I try to keep it separate because I don't want them to be bothered by media and by things that don't necessarily have anything to do with them. Because to me, it's like my life as Lonewolf James, the artist, is one thing, but my life, as who I am as a person with my family is my own. So I kind of keep those separate.
I know we had 3 questions out there, and there's a question that I agreed not to ask you before we came on the air.
Yeah.
So we're just going to skip right past that one and move along, and I show my guests the respect that they request. That's just how we do things on the Wolves Den. So I do want to ask you one question, because this is something that you and I share in common. I've been known as Lone Wolf in several different areas, the gaming community, now as a disc jockey or DJ, internet DJ, et cetera, et cetera. What was your attraction to the Lone Wolf? What was your pull to the Wolves?
Well, it's funny because I was in a band, and I was playing other people's music for so long, and I had gotten tired of doing all the most 90% of the work and trying to book shows and everything else, and then having somebody else in the band, oh, my girlfriend can't do this, my wife doesn't want me to do that, blah blah blah, whatever, and ruin it. So I had quit, and I said I'm going to go write my own music. And so I started playing guitar, and I was going to write my own music. And as I was leaving, I was walking into a room full of my friends. One of my friends goes, "Oh, here comes Lone Wolf," because I had decided to go on my own and become a solo artist. And I was like, "Well, you know what? That actually fits," because I'm leaving, other people's crap, and I'm going to go and do my own thing. And I said that Lone Wolf name really worked. And then James is my middle name. It's also my dad's first name, so I kind of added that on, and that's where Lone Wolf James came from.
Oh, that's a great story, man. I love that.
Yeah,
I had, I'd started out known as Havoc because I created havoc everywhere I went, and the DJs here will vouch for me on that one. I started getting to where I gamed more solo, so they started calling me the Lone Wolf, and Lone Wolf just kind of stuck. And actually, yep, my buddy Swamp Ass just showed up. You can see Swampy in there. Swamp Ass, that's an interesting story. I'll tell you that one off the air.
Okay.
Swampy knows the story behind it. But man, it's to me it was the irony of finding out that you and I both go by Lone Wolf. You and I are both big Chicago Bears fans. Both love Motley Crue. You can't get any better than that. I think we're off to the start of a friendship here, my man.
Yeah, wrestling fans. We're both wrestling fans. I loved your show the second I heard the Ultimate Warriors theme music and Generation X, and I was like, oh, I already like this guy.
Yeah, man. I'm Attitude Era and before more than I am now.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's as a matter of fact, I saw a clip the other day. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. It's just good. It's good fun to see it. But it was called NWO 2014, and they took like modern wrestlers and set them to the NWO music to make the new click. And the ones that were in it were actually really good picks, like Dolph Ziggler and CM Punk.
Yep.
And the guys actually fit. That's what hit me. Whoever put this video together did a brilliant job of it because they actually fit together.
No. That's awesome. So. Yeah. I've actually met a lot of the wrestlers, and because there's a place down here in Massachusetts that every time they go and play the Garden or whatever, when they wrestle at the Garden and they do a pay-per-view or whatever, there's a place called Kaoon's that's down here, and it's a Chinese food restaurant, and it's just word of mouth. Like they don't promote it, they don't announce to it, but everybody knows that after the event, that's where they all go. So the place gets swamped with hundreds and hundreds of people, fans and stuff outside. to meet the rest of them. They all come in together, good guys, bad guy, doesn't matter. They
Oh
walk
yeah.
in together and they'll sign autographs and whatever. So I've met so many of them, either backstage at the Garden and or there or whatever. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to the Boston Garden to see, when Hogan and Savage and all them fought each other. And I mean, it was just, it was great. I've been a lifelong fan. I love it. So.
See, I came up on the other side, man. I was down south with the NWA. And so, I got to watch the Nature Boy and the Four Horsemen come up, Tommy Wildfire Rich, Tony Atlas, those guys,
Yep.
And, I remember one of the funniest things I ever saw is we left the Civic Center in Roanoke, Virginia, which is near where I lived, and I'd seen Ric Flair get into his limousine.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a styling and profiling sumbitch. I'm telling you, he lived the way he talked. He still does.
Yep.
So we drive home, and I go pulling into McDonald's, right, in the hometown where I was, which was Covington, Virginia. And all of a sudden, I look behind me, and there is the Nature Boy's limo at the drive-thru at McDonald's. He wanted
Wow.
a Big Mac. It was hilarious to me because he talks about the caviar and the back in those days, especially the suits, the watches, and you know what? He's eating a Big Mac or something like
Yep.
that, dude. It's just hilarious. Absolutely
yeah,
hilarious.
my mom actually met him. I think it was, believe it or not, in Virginia at the airport.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive, but her friend had said, "Isn't your son a huge wrestling fan?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, that's Ric Flair over there." And she didn't know who he was, and she's like, "Well, is he big?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's like, him and Hogan are the two biggest guys you could find." So they she went over and got her autograph. So when she told me, she's like, "Oh, I was in the airport or blah blah blah," and she's like, "And I ran into Ric Flair and I almost dropped dead." I was like, "What?" So she got me his autograph and stuff. So that was very cool.
Absolutely, man. That sounds great. Well, as hard as it is for me to believe, it looks like we've hit about the end of our hour. So what I'm going to do is I want to give you a moment to tell these wonderful people out here anything that you would like to tell them before you go, completely unscripted, unprompted. Just give them a message of whatever you would like to say to the fine folks of the Wolves Den. And after that is done, I am immediately going to go into one more of your songs, Trouble, which I have also listened to. Listen to it every day. As a matter of fact, I've got it on my phone.
Cool.
Yep, definitely. Let's get a message out and have some fun with it.
Well, all I can say is thank you very much for listening, and from me to you, just keep real, keep to yourself, man, and just be real. Don't sell out to nobody, and don't let nobody judge you. You just do what you got to do and do it. And and if they say give them the finger, then just put them both up. That's what I do. So peace.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Lone Wolf James with Trouble. I'll be back right after that with the comedy song of the hour. You are listening to Inc-Radio.com with the Wolves Den. I am DJ Lone Wolf. Kick back, relax, enjoy, and let the insanity just take it away.